Yo, what is good in the hood? Now this video is obviously different. I've never done a tier list on this channel before. So, let's start with the basics. This needs to go. So, this makes things a lot easier because now I don't have to worry too much. Now I just don't have to worry too much about overrating a character or underrating them, especially for you guys, the audience, because I'm not trying to have you guys be like, yes, my character's so bad, he's so bad, yes. Bodvar, I mean, he has a few SIGs that just don't really apply in competitive, at least not right now. Okay, Hammer D-Sig is always like a weird one, but it has a lot of dash impulse, it has a lot of range, but I mean not much else realistically. So that accounts for one bad SIG. Sword and SIG, also a weird one. His weapons are pretty basic, but it actually does not matter too much. He still has enough power and strength to just like, he has two solid weapons. He can duke it out. Another problem. D-Light D-Sig is not a string anymore. It's not an unjumpable one anyways. That's jumpable. Still within the minds, now that he doesn't have like a killing combo, it has been a lot harder since 2021 to actually perform as dominantly as before. Within the minds, although he's very good, he just has like honestly just like two flaws. So we put him at S-. Now for Cassidy, she's just gonna graduate into a much better character. So for Cassidy, a lot of the issues that came with D-Sig are pretty much gone now that we actually have a replacement for it. I believe she does have the best possible 3 SIGs you can have on a hammer character. I can't really have anybody like take me up on that because it's just true. Having side SIG is always really good. It's just like a replacement to a light attack, and then it just has the ability to kill. Those are SIGs to look for whenever you want to pick up a character. The range where you silent is also the range where you side SIG, and the range where you side SIG is also the one where you almost kill from about 120. D-Sig is also still available. It's a ledge trap where you can't jump instantly, but you still don't land on the ground, which is always good for a mix-up. It doesn't have enough variable recovery to spot dodge in the air, but it's fine. You can still jump away, and you can still be slightly evasive, which puts the number of usable SIGs on this character to like, all of them are usable. The only thing is that one of them is less practical than the other. You have to consider if you could just use every signature practically. That way you have the most mix-ups possible. So with that in mind, she just goes straight to S. So for Orion, he truly just has 6 good SIGs. That's just what happens when you have a new killer character like Orion. The easier they are, usually the easier they are to play in tournaments. So when we have something like Spear D-Sig, which is super practical for any tournament set, and it's responsible for so many kills, then it's like, okay, that's perfect. Side SIG is a little awkward, which makes me consider not putting him too far up on the S tier. This SIG as a mix-up used to be a actual problem when it had the hitbox that it did at the time, but it's now gone and completely shaved. We also have Silent D-Light GCN SIG, which is also huge. Just for any spear character in general to have a dunk off of GC D-Light. And follow-ups like those are things that we're also supposed to pay attention to when we rank this character, or just any spear character in general. With that in mind, we have his spear SIGs covered. Now we have his best SIG. To me, it has to be this one. It is the most practical ledge trap currently for any Lance character, and you can not take me up on that. The hitbox for this is very convenient, very generous. You see that right there? This for a ledge trap is really good. And even though it kills late, the point is that you can do this often. Not only that, if you're stacked, you can just have it around as a punish, which is also very, very convenient. It really gets rid of the problems that come with land. For Orion to cover them so well, it puts him on a very high pedestal. Next we have side SIG. It's cheesy, honestly. It's a near stacked punish, or it's a near stacked signature, which also adds to it being very convenient. With Orion having 6 really good signatures, other than Spear Side Sig being a little iffy, I will say it's exactly what he needs to be one of the top characters, honestly. Even though Lance is a little out of relevance, in disadvantage state with the character is obviously Orion definitely has the signatures and the power to actually still make it possible. Although disadvantage state with Orion is always going to be iffy, you have Spear and Lance, it's always going to be hard to recover against string weapons. He still can't make up for it in Station Crow, which is like one of the things that he's actually still really good at. I believe that this meta is completely based on extensions right now, so this would put him as the top of S currently. Next we got Lord Vraxx. Blasters got the shaving of a lifetime, but it really does not stop Lord Vraxx because he's another character who has the potential to be like maybe top 20. So for Lord Vraxx, he actually has a lot of tech that's considered useful, which is perfect considering that he has the decks that he does. Although it is weird if it applies for blasters, it's no mistake that it does for Lance. D-Light N-Light was a problem for like a month and then people just forgot about it. Knees literally stood there and cheesed out Luna for like an entire set, and they just completely forgot about it because, I don't know, Lance is bad or something, Vraxx is bad or something. D-Sig is really good. Side Sig is extremely convenient and genuinely just a very convenient hitbox. Like, you gotta understand, bro, Sigs like this are very useful just because you get to catch people in the air. You get to have a lot of chances to hit your opponent, and not only that, his recovery's low. It's low enough for this Sig so big. D-Sig is just very convenient. A turnaround is always useful. Any turnaround signature is always useful. Sidelight N-Sig is always good. Can't really go wrong. And it's also just a very convenient hitbox that sits right here. So it's a near grounded anti-air, which means that the only thing that the player has to do to really get caught by it is jump, which is also very convenient. And remember, this is a 9-dex character. Most 9-dex characters actually have really small Sigs, but not for Vraxx. N-Sig is also extremely convenient. Any hitbox around here is actually really good, especially in the area that it sends. It sends over to the side, which is always really nice. Over diagonally to the side anyways. And another thing is, we also have Dash Impulse on Side Sig, which is also extremely convenient because you can cover from about here. And then we finally have this ledge trap right here, which is also very convenient. Remember that for a Blasters character, your objective is to keep them away, and what does Blasters do? Keep them away. One more time. When Blasters get to keep away again, then we have a really good compromise, where we can not only ledge trap, but really exercise Blasters' advantages. That being said, he will be the top of S. Like, what you're making up for in being unable to recover is very generous hitboxes, very, very high kill power, especially for the buff, for the hammer side sig buff. They buffed one of his best, if not his best, hammer signature, which is also another thing to consider. Now, there's just a few issues. Now, to me, Nash as a character is not bad. Like, I do not think he's bad at all. If anything, like, he has so much potential. But there's one thing that's missing. Spear D-Sig. Bro, please. Can we rework this? This would be the only reason why Nash is not at the top of S. Side Sig is insane. Like, that, and that's not something that you can argue with me on. I mean, consider the range, the dash impulse, and the size of the hitbox. The size of the hitbox is the saving grace of this character, especially on Spear. Not only that, but you also have a pickup. You have a pickup N-Sig. The size of this hitbox and also this initial hitbox is super convenient for a Spear character. Not only that, you get to cover dodges with it. So he exercises the qualities. Of everything that's related to Spear very well. The only problem being is that he's missing one last mix-up, which would be D-Sig. If you're gonna use D-Sig, bro, this step away better be bigger. Like, if you really want this to be the case, then please just make it bigger. Until then, he's at the top of S indefinitely. This meta is based around extensions, and he has really good high damage punishes. So next up, we got Queen Nai. Okay, this one, This one is and always will be very controversial. I don't think I've ever actually... I don't think... I've never been in a good position when it comes to Queen Nai without people, like, crucifying me. Queen Nai, again, has very convenient and very large hitboxes. Side Sig is really good. It's good to the fact that, like, you can condition Saren and Side Sig because the hitboxes are so big. And consider this, that the initial hitbox for this is just very convenient. D-Sig is the all-knowing, stacked, you get the idea. And then for the really, really high damage, high risk, high reward punish, stay in the air, wait for an aerial, wait for a whiff of some kind, and Sig. And it'll always kill. With that in mind, she'll be at the top of S. And really, there is potential for S+. Alright, next up we have Hattori. Dude, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think Hattori's that crazy. Now, Side Sig is a big problem. Side Sig is only GCable and it's really okay. Like, I've seen better sword signatures. That's like why. It's just like, it doesn't really compare. The initial hitbox right here is very nice though. Absolutely. But does it kill? The recovery's too high. The startup's too high for this to be considered as worth it. It's worth the risk. Like, consider that, just compare it to other spear legends, compared to other sword legends. You can't find a real reason to pick up this character if you take the game seriously and would be flexible enough to pick up another spear or sword legend. With that in mind, I think we'll put Hattori at the top of S-. You got the boy, the man, the myth, the legend. D-Sig is a very good edge guard, especially since it hits stacked just on its own. And then Side Sig is just a very convenient swing. Not only that, this initial hitbox is really good. The priority here is just about the same as Sare, and then the transition back into sending into the air for Lance in general is very good because of other moves like recovery. Recovery, rising there. Point is, it can transition into a juggle if you hit it. With it in mind, I believe that he should be at about this region. Let's say we're fighting against Kaya and we hit a string on said Kaya that is the light and Sig. Let's put it to about 120. Okay, that hits convincingly. What about 110? Okay, so a 7 defense legend is dying at a little over 110, which means that Azoth is in a very good position to kill very early. Mix that in with the high strength of Axe and Bow of all legends, or Bow of all weapons, which already has a hard time killing. This changes things for Azoth, and it puts him in a very good position to be a potential top tier, especially with the new dash changes, putting him as an S tier. I'd love to say a lot of good things about him. You'd be surprised what kind of fight it is when you're fighting Koji compared to Kaya. You feel yourself actually like finding yourself unable to punish anything that is thrown out. And for good reason. 7 dex bow compared to 3 dex bow is definitely a lot different. Now, the only problem is the practicality of this world champion legend Sigs have definitely gone down as of recently. Just in general. Like, now he's in a decent position. Like, he just reminds me of both Hattori and Lucian. Well, less of Lucian because that was like in maybe 2015. I don't even know anymore. 2016. Point being is that Koji and Hattori are in positions where they've just been nerfed a little bit too much and then just kind of got ignored. And they've just been put aside. So with that in mind, Koji does not have as many viable Sigs as he used to. Side Sig on Bow is definitely very awkward, and End Sig on Bow is definitely his best signature so far. But it's only like 2, 3 of 6. Sword End Sig, it's almost there, but it doesn't compare to the rest of the Sword Legends because he doesn't have the same Sig true combos. With that in mind, the only real practical Sig there would be Side Sig, and it's just not as big as, well, something else like Thatch or Suri. With that in mind, he is put as S-. It doesn't mean he's unviable, but he definitely has a few things that are missing that vault him from becoming an S tier character. Ulgrim. I hate this guy with my life, but I really don't think he's too crazy. Thing is though, he has amazing signatures. They're a lot more amazing than I care to admit, which puts him again in the S tier. If Koji's missing out on Sigs and Ulgrim has basically all 6 of them except for maybe Lance D-Sig, then this is the spot he deserves to be put in. We're in a low dex meta for 2s, but in 1s it's mostly low speed, high strength. He still fits in. High speed is never it's never a bad thing to go with. I will say though, Ulgrim does get punished very often by many legends. 2 decks is actually wonky and buggy because it makes you lose a lot. Like, there's a lot that is probably there's a lot of recovery frames that are just lost from 2 decks, and it's actually heavier than 3, interestingly enough. So for now, that's the position that Ulgrim deserves to be in. He's very good, but he's not a top tier. Now Diana. Ooh, she is almost there. She really is almost there. This is probably one of the most disgusting and most broken bow kits you could ever get. If anything, that's exactly what it is. Diana's in the position to be one of the best bow characters in the game. I think that for now, Diana has the best 3 Sigs that you could possibly get for bow. Why do I insinuate this over and over? Because her Blaster's kit really just does not compare to the absolute powerhouse that Diana has. Remember that Side Sig is already killing decently early. So when you have it around as a hard read for Sidelight, then it starts to look really unfair. Sidelight, Side Sig, it kills. And it's at 90. We're at 90 against the 6 defense legend, and that is killing confidently as well. See what we're getting at? Not only that, we also have D-Sig, and I mentioned before that a reversal for a bow signature is extremely viable and extremely good. The angle that it sends at is more than tedious. It is disgusting. D-Light N-Sig being a follow-up that transitions perfectly into Dare or Ground Pound, and also GC N-Sig, which transitions into another Dare or Ground Pound, makes this flowchart for this specific character perfect. Diana's in a very good position right now, and she also happens to have Bryn stats, which is 5557. You can't go wrong with this pick. All you need to do is put some extra time to blasters, and Diana has potential to be a top tier, but unfortunately, her Sigs are in a decent position, which puts her as a S tier character, but not a top tier just yet. So in short, she is an S tier. Now, for Jhala, I have a lot of faith in this character to be a top tier. But it's hard to tell right now. Some of her axe rotations are a little awkward, but her sword kit is beautiful. It's almost the same scenario as it would be with Diana. Probably some of the best 3 Sigs you could get for a sword character. Specifically because of D-Light N-Sig, which is still a real combo that is still really taking stocks, and swiftly at that. This is killing confidently against Queen Nai at 90. Okay. Far Sidelight N-Sig also has enough force, just like enough to where if you hit the far version, you can get the N-Sig unjumpable. Is it worth it? If you're killing like this, absolutely. It's a very active Sig, but it's enough to find multiple routes to consistently knock out your opponent. And it's not like Axe and Sword are not solid either. We're in a very good position to call Jhala a current S+. So that's where I'm putting her. Now Kor. Kor is very okay, in my opinion. I really don't think he's that crazy. But he's in a very good spot to be considered at least an S+. No, not an S+. I'm sorry. An S tier. His weapons are in a very good position. Hammer's a little wonky still. I really do think it's good, though. So it will be S. It won't be S- because there's no SIGs that he's missing. To me, Hammer D-Sig is just considered like a near stacked punish, but it's not impossible to work with. And I think that his Hammer kit is more than well enough. And then Kor's Gauntlet kit, funny enough, is one of the best ones that you could possibly have right now. So, to me, Kor is in a very good position. Now, Wu Shang. Wu Shang is hilarious. I really think he's almost in a good position. He's almost there, but he's not a top tier. He truly is not a top tier. I believe that his Spear D-Sig is really holding him back, because there are a lot of Spear D-Sigs that could be useful that he just doesn't have. He makes up for it slightly in edge guarding, but the hitboxes are, fairly small. But the recovery time on all of the signatures in general are usually very low, and that also has to do with with all of his SIGs being very active. There's no single hit punishes. It seems very niche. It's all too active. A little too much frame data. So with that being said, he's not at the tippity top, but he's definitely a very solid character and a very unsurprising tournament winning pick. Now Val. Dog, Val is so dog. Val is so bad. I really don't think she's that crazy at all. Like, okay, yes, she has a true combo, D-Light and Sig, but that would be her only real quality aside from that one specific interaction on this huge wall that is Small Brawlhalla, dude. I really don't think she gives off enough to like be considered like a insane sword character. Not only that, her gauntlet SIGs are really not all that nice either. To me, she really is just a very twos oriented pick. All of those rotations would only work in twos, and I mean, yeah, sure, at that point that would be good, but we're talking about ones, obviously. So, not really. I don't think much of Val in a way where like I could consider her to be a good pick. Or not a good pick, but like not the most awesome, most viable. No. She's really okay. Now Ragnir. Almost there. A lot of his SIGs are very niche, but the ones that hit are awesome. His guitar kit is almost there. I really would just wish he had what's it called? Maybe lower recovery time for some of the really active SIGs that he has. Cause it's just not worth. If you're thinking about picking up a legend, when you consider this tier list, and you look at all of the other legends that are like above him, you start to notice why. Because what he needs is not there. He still needs like a couple more pushes to be considered a very viable pick. All these, everything that I have in S- is viable picks. S is just really viable picks, and then S+ to me is the most viable pick you can get. Now Cross. Okay, this guy's very gutted, but yeah, no. Gauntlets to me are really okay. They're really just okay. Guns are not in a bad position, but they could be better compared to other legends. And then Cross's SIGs in general, to me, have always just been twos oriented. They're just twos. They're very twos related, but it still makes him a very viable pick, because now he's just kind of dumbed down to this less. He's just completely dumbed down because of twos in general. This guy has been dominating NA2s for the longest time. So now they're just shaving him over and over again. So to me, there's not a lot of SIGs that I can consider as awesome and amazing. There's not enough of them. There really isn't enough of them anymore anyways, because Cross just got completely gashed. Now, Mirage. Ooh, she's almost there. A lot of her punishes are very, very damage heavy, and they're insanely practical, which puts her in a very SIG punish heavy position, and it's very good. It's just too good. It really does make her too good. We are in a low defense meta as well. I'm going to be honest. I really do think it is a low defense meta. Why? Because let's consider what's going on here. Low defense legends are usually pouring out way more damage than they take. That's their whole thing. So they have bigger hitboxes, and they have high speed as well. But the thing is, like, okay, the low speed on Mirage in this case is the cherry on top, because what she trades for in speed, she trades in with Dex, which is also a very important factor considering the combos that you first off get with both Scythe and Spear, and second, this goes into factor with her signatures. The recovery time on them is all low, and they're all high damage, which puts Mirage in a position where, like, okay, that is scary. And funny enough, I don't know how Sandstorm keeps doing this, but he really knows what to find in a character when he picks them up. Like, he knows what kind of violates the integrity of the game, competitively speaking. So in short, she has a lot of power, just a lot of high damage punishes, and to me it doesn't look like it's gonna go away. So she's just going to be a top tier for a very long time. I can sense it. Now, Nyx. A lot of her SIGs are really niche. You don't find yourself using them too often. But, I mean, what can I say? She's still in a good position. She's very viable, and her Blaster's end SIG is the sole reason why anybody picks up this character in low ranks. So, she is just viable. Mordex. Mordex is in a weird position to where he will just always be one of the top characters in the game. I don't think he's that crazy, and I think a lot of his SIGs are niche. So comparative to other legends, I really think Mordex is in the S- position. At least for me. I can't see a route where he just does things like amazingly. At least not anymore. But his weapon comp is just so good that it really puts him like in the top tier section, regardless. But again, he doesn't have SIGs that just add to it, because these other weapon comps are also decent. They're honestly decent compared to Mordex, respectfully. So it's a very weird dilemma where Mordex can be all of these tiers, in my honest opinion. But until then, I believe he's S. Being S- is a little stretch when you consider all of these other legends, and then there's just Mordex sitting there as if, you know. Actually, okay, that's not ridiculous, because he literally has Gauntlet D-Sig and Gauntlet N-Sig. I really don't think Gauntlet D-Sig is that crazy. Gauntlet Side Sig is his best Gauntlet signature, and then for Scythe, a lot of his reads just went missing out of N-Sig. There were a lot of problems with Jet Beam's performance in Springs that really deeply affected what happened with Mordex in 2022, I believe? Or in Summers, Springs? I don't even know anymore. Point being is that the read doesn't work anymore, and like N-Sig is just not as consistent as it used to be. Yumiko. Dog, if you can use a Yumiko Sig in a tournament, I will applaud you. She's viable. It's just that a lot of her instances for her Sigs are very rare, which puts her in a very bad spot. I believe that currently she's the worst legend in Brawlhalla. Artemis. Oh my god. Like, I'm not even gonna explain this one. I'm sure the low ranks can vent out their frustrations in the comments. But it's a very easy S. Caspian. Ooh. Ooh, do I have a quarrel with this guy? This meta is completely built on damage extensions and maybe offstage if you really feel like it. So currently, mix that in with some of his signatures and he's almost there. He is so close. He is so close. In short, he's S. Now Sidra. Sidra to me is just like, okay. I mean, be so for real. Like, Canon Ensig is kind of way past its time. She has really good stats, and she has a decent... She actually has a really good weapon comp, but she's just not that amazing, or there's not that many qualities about her that stand out. That's what makes her just viable. That's what just makes her good. Now Zol. Remember what I said about extensions earlier? High damage cannon is responsible for so many interactions that result in high damage punishes. And it just fits right in with the meta. Now, just a few issues. I feel like some of his SIGs are like, they're really stopping him because they're just very small SIGs. Very small ones. And the ones that I have over here in S Plus are very generous. Kaya. This one's interesting. I like talking about this, but like, I don't think I'll ever please anybody if she's not at least an S+. But I'm not gonna do it just because. So, Kaya is a stage control monster, and a lot of her extensions are very set and static, which means that even if you catch a dodge, you only get 1 or 2 more hits before you completely let go of the opponent. Anything after that is basically just like an extension. So when you catch a dodge with Kaya, let's say you catch it with sidelight, you only get sidelight, D-light, end light. Or with spear, you get sidelight and sidelight, double D-light stare. The most you get is double sidelight, double D-light stare, but those instances are obviously rare. You don't see them very often in tournament. A lot of the startup on her SIGs, I feel, affected her viability very, like, significantly, because it's almost as if they're not patching Kaya in a way that actually just reflects her stats well, because they're affecting the startup as if she's a high strength character, which isn't really happening. She's usually killing at like max 140, like the 5-string character, 4-string character that she is. I think she's amazing at stage control, and her offstage is in a very good position, but there's nothing about her that stands out as much as it did in 2022. With that being said, I believe she is S. Isaiah, in a very good position right now. A definite power creep right now, I believe, and just completely ready to take this meta by storm. I feel very, very soon. His weapon comp, I feel, is very nice. Now, he's just very unexplored. So I just await to see something come out of him from you guys, the community. Jiro. Okay. We have an S+ right here. This is one of those characters that got completely ignored for some strange reason. And now, here he is. I believe that Jiro's in a very good position to be called one of the best characters in the game at the moment. He covers really good spots for Scythe, and his sword signatures are not only insane but have multiple. Not okay. He doesn't have multiple true combos, but he has many instances where his SIGs can be used, and where those SIGs are used, he is killing very early for a 4 defense character. Or for a 4 strength character. Currently, he has completely violated his own definition of strength. He has poured out more damage than a lot of characters that are on the S list currently. That even means Caspian. Mix that in with a few true combos from the high decks, and what do you got? Now Limfei. Limfei is on the verge of being a very good pick as well. Some of her SIGs are niche. And not as viable as everything else that I put on S+, which puts her in a very good position. Zario. Same goes, honestly. A few SIGs being niche, but definitely on the verge of being a top tier, especially with Zario's stats. Their stats are insane. Oopsies. Zario's stats are definitely in a good position to be looked at as just a little overtuned. Like people say it out of frustration. I completely understand. He's in a very good position. Rayman, same goes. A few niche situations are kind of affecting him from being a top tier. Hang on, with my graphic designer skills, I will change this real quick. Okay, and then boom. Let's just layer him over one of the legends, like maybe right here. And then boom. We can just put him on there, and then it actually looks clean. Okay, next, Dusk. Wow, insane potential. He's almost there, but one of his SIGs are just too niche, and that would be Spew D-Sig. His orb SIGs are nuts. Like easily some of the best orb SIGs that you could possibly have on a character. Which is, again, like, it's really well done, but is it something compared to the other top tier legends that I listed so far? Not yet. So this puts him in a position as S. Fate. Ooh. Sidelight and Sig on Orb is good and all, but it's not enough to trump what the others got. It's just she's just in a similar position with all of the other S tier characters.
Yes, well, I mean the creepers were a mistake. I defined I don't have any modeling problems.
Thor.
Models, I just write them in code.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Thor might be S-. I really. The only thing that he has going for him, in my honest opinion, has to be Orb Side Sig for some reason having 0 recovery frames. You can try this out. Matter of fact, I'm just going to try it out for you. Okay, watch this. And peep the GC version as well. Why is it so low? This is lower than a lot of 7-Dex Legends. And it's instant. Not a day in my life have I seen this out of any other legend that is not pre-patched. Thor, for some reason, has way... the recovery time is just too low. It is insanely low, but... does he need it? I mean, honestly, yes. He doesn't have that many SIGs that really follow through, except for the orb side SIG part. Meaning, yes, he will still be S-. Petra. When's the last time you've ever gotten hit by Petra SIG? She's almost in a bad position. However, Orb is in a really good spot, but she's like the highest of S. I really do think she's the highest of S-, maybe, or at the lowest of S. So that's where we'll put her.
Yeah, you get
I really don't think she's in like the greatest position right now. Like during her prime, she had Gauntlet side sig be like a lot more, you know, viable. But her sigs are very predictable. I feel like N sig on Gauntlets is very easy to project and just kind of react to. It's like react, like it's not even like an anticipate thing. You don't react to the you don't react to sigs. If you react to sigs, then that means that sig is slow. And well, I mean, Petra just doesn't have it for me. I really do not think she's that like insane. Vector. Same goes. All of his sigs are super niche. Lance is in a decent spot, and Bo is just in a good spot, which puts him as a S tier. But does he stand out compared to the other top legends? Absolutely not. I really don't think he has that much. Volkov. Same goes, really. Like, he really doesn't have that much going. I mean, other than like the insane variable force on some of his signatures, there is not much, unfortunately. Onyx, the saving grace of 2's multitasking over and over again. Yes, she can attack a lot, but in 1's, I just consider her to be a good pick. Just a good pick. Like, with the Gauntlet signatures, you can't really go wrong. Gauntlet D-Sig is really good. Like Onyx in general is very good at stage control, I can tell, and also edge guarding. But that transition back into off stage actually might make her an S plus legend. But currently, I understand that she also did get like nerfed in a really like big handful. So it's not. So Onyx is in a state where I can't really tell right now.
Give it a bigger explosion.
Jaehyun, probably the best of S- tier. Maybe. Greatsword is in a position where it would be beautiful if everything worked out with how you hit like the opponent, but it's just not there. There's like a position where, okay, he has decent sigs because not all of them can you use. It's like maybe 3 out of 6 signatures. Greatsword N sig is awesome. Greatsword side sig is so alright. And Greatsword D-Sig is dog. That's when everybody was playing Day 1 Jaehyun. Everybody would fall into that. But not anymore. Mako. I feel like her sigs can be easily used, which actually makes her like one of the better. It puts her in one of the better positions of S-. I think she's like maybe top 5 of S-. I think she'll hold up against a lot of the legends here. Magyar. Now Magyar, however, you can find yourself using a sig every once in a while. A lot more than any other Greatsword character. Which puts him in a viable position. Reno. Now, Reno to me is at the verge of being a top tier. I lie. I almost think that, but there's not a lot that he does that is OD or is high force or anything. If anything, I feel like he's one of the most fair characters we've got in the game so far. Which puts him as an S tier. Moonin. Oof. I'm gonna be real, guys. She has potential to be one of the best characters in the game, and currently, I don't see anything wrong with her except for Bo Ensig, which makes her the best of S tier, in my opinion. Now, Arcadia. Dog, when's the... You can actually use a lot of her SIGs very often. Funny enough, I really can't discredit anything that Arcadia has right now because she's just in a really good position. I'm gonna be real. Ezio, dog, you guys are so like. Please pick this character up when possible. I'm telling you now, like Sword D-Sig having such insane follow-ups is like. Yes, they're slightly niche, but is it worth it? Absolutely, especially if you get like far ahead enough. There's also confirmed string off of Ezio's Sword D-Sig, which would be D-Sig there, and then that also follows up into GCT Light Recovery, which is something to know. So in short, I believe that, you know, now is the time. Tezca. As of recently, boots have been under some tech that I didn't even know was possible, which I'm going to showcase in the next video. But with that being said, until they don't know it, Tezca is one of the best legends in the game for sure. There are a few SIGs that are a little bit more niche. In this case, I'm talking more about Boots side SIG, but that trade-off is very well earned. The range for that signature is so nuts. I can't even believe it. And not only that, there's one signature that really makes up for a lot of the kill power on this character, which would be D-Sig. That is extremely important. The reason why is because it always hits way higher than anticipated. The size of the hitbox is just high enough to where it is responsible for all the kills. Mix that in with active inputs and like it doesn't really matter what position you're in, you're going to get that SIG. You're going to hit that SIG. It is just too viable. The hitboxing is too good. The force is too good. The damage is just good. A lot of the flaws are already protected immediately from down SIG. And then for gauntlet signatures, N-SIG and side SIG are obvious like monstrosities, and the size of the hitboxes are very huge and generous. And Gauntlet's D-Sig, funny enough, actually has enough dash impulse and like drift to where it's considered a viable SIG, which makes all of the SIGs amazing and puts him as an S+. Thea. We're almost there with this character. Like, I believe she is the best of S, next to Moonin, for sure. I'm not going to talk too much about it because we've all seen the signatures and we all gagged and like laughed at like the unbelief, like literally the limits that the devs go to really push this. Raptor. If it wasn't for his orb sigs being so interesting and, you know, niche, then he would be an S+. But he would definitely be like a top 3 S for sure. And then that should be everything. Of course, Loki is not available because why would he, right? So what we're gonna do real quick is